Well, hi, Robert Knoll. You're at the Guitar Zone. It's a really important video and lecture on tempo. Tempo. If you go a dictionary or on Wikipedia, as I have here, I'm going to read you. But tempo is basically the speed of which a passage of music is played at. The speed. The tempo. In classical music, tempo is typically indicated with an instructional start of a piece, usually measured in beats per minute. So this is very important. BPM, beats per minute. You're going to see that when you get a metronome, or if you look at other lessons and you look at music, you'll sometimes see a BPM marking the speed. The beats per minute. How many beats per minute do we have? So this is very important. And you have normal tempo markings. And then there's just for different styles of music, there are certain beats per minute, that you may have. And this is important that whatever styles of music you're studying, be it blues, classical music, disco music, rage music, I don't know what you're doing, but there's certain tempo markings that you may have for certain styles of music. So let me just tell you some of the actual classical terms that we use. And I don't know if I can pronounce these, but the very slowest is what we call larghissimo. Very, very slow. That would be 24 beats per minute and under. Then they have another one called adagissimo, very slow, 24 to 40 beats per minute. And then I love this one, grave, Grava, grave, very slow, 25 to 45 beats per minute. Largo, you may see this at the beginning of one of your pieces, largo. Slow and broad, 40 to 60 beats per minute. Lento, slow, 45 to 60 beats. Larghetto, very slow and broad. So they're giving you a broad and a kind of an emotion tied to it too when we say broad, but that would be 60 to 66 beats per minute. So you might want to try some of these on your metronome, okay, if you have your beats per minute setting. Adagio, slow with great expression, that would be 66 to 76. Adagietto, that would be slower than andante, 72 to 76 beats per minute, or slightly faster than adagio, 70 to 80 beats per minute. Andante, that's like what we call a walking pace, 76 to 108 beats per minute. Andantemo, slightly faster than andante, and that would be 80 to 108 beats per minute. Marcia moderato, moderately, in a matter of like a march, 83 to 85 beats per minute. Moderato, moderate, 108 to 120, a moderate speed. Andante, moderato, between andante and moderato, that would be 92 and 112 beats per minute. Allegretto, 112 to 120 beats. So that's more of a mid-19th century term. Allegro moderato, close to but not quite allegro, which is 116 to 120 beats per minute. Allegro, fast, quick, and bright, 120 to 156 beats per minute. That's really moving a lot faster. Molto allegro is slightly faster than allegro. That would be 124 to 156. Vivace, I love that word, vivace. Lively and fast, 156 to 176. Vibracissimo, very fast and lively, 172 to 176. Allegrissimo and allegro vivace, very fast, 172 to 176 beats per minute. Presto, I love it. Presto, very, very fast. 168 to 200 beats per minute. Finally, Prestissimo, even faster than Presto, 200 beats per minute and over. So these are the classical terms, okay? And you will see them in pieces of music, especially classical, Baroque, Renaissance music. You'll see these markings indicating what speed you should be playing this at. But I want you to know these terms in a way and get to know beats per minute so that you're able to maybe have a metronome, and you can get them for your iPhone, probably for free or nothing. You have your metronome that you can take with you everywhere, or you can buy them at a music store. So you can search that online where to get a metronome. And there's all different types, okay? Electronic ones, and then there's the old standard ones that we would set on a piano bench. You know, they have that nice wooden thing, and they click and sound real nice. So they have different sounds to the metronome beats, okay? With my students, of course, I use IReal. The IReal application that we use has a start in. I usually have 2 measures of a count in, and it's like a metronome beat. Here, I'll give you a chance. This is 100 tempo, and here's what my IReal sounds like. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're into the beat or the song. So that's at 100 beats per minute, the tempo, okay? Now, if I slow that down, here is 60 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go down, 40 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very slow, right? I bring that up, back. Let's go to, how about 120? Well, there's 110. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get up to, maybe up to vivace, allegro, 160. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Oh boy, vivace, 200 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Okay, so I've got a pop shuffle style put on this. But I think that gives you an idea of metronome, of beats. So when I'm practicing a chord progression or something, you know, we want to establish a tempo. I often tell my students, I want you to work on it slow. Because when you go slow, you start to learn the technique. You're able to look at the fingers and take the time to get the placement right, and to look at the position of your hand and how your pick is working. If you play fast, you're not into that. You want to develop getting faster. That's why we use tempo as a way, increasing the tempo, to get our skills together, our technique. To master the time, we get better with the technique and skills that we need. So if I'm doing, like I tell students to do a shuffle, when we do that real slow, we can study the fingers and we can study the pick and maybe count 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got a very steady tempo. Now, if I'm having trouble at that speed, I might have to slow it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and eventually I'm going to work that speed up where I feel good at the maybe a moderate speed. And then maybe we get it worked up to, we get a faster moderate to fast. Very fast. So it's the same thing with chord passages. You know, if I was strumming a chord, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's just a simple G chord, okay? 1 and 2. So I want to always start that tempo 1, 2, 3, 4. Then my eighth notes 1 and 2, 3, and 4. Well, you know, maybe I can find a tempo. I'm going to go back to my IReal here, and why don't we just see what 60 beats per minute. Here we go. Here's my beat. And I'm going to practice my chords here. So I'm going to hear the count in. 1. And here I go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then maybe a C chord. 2, 3, 4. And a D chord. And then back to G. So now I've got that speed going. Okay, I feel comfortable there. 1. Maybe I strum eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Maybe I work on my doubling that speed. Maybe 1 D-anda, 2 D-anda. But maybe that's too fast. Maybe I need to back that down. Maybe I found I couldn't get to the chords quick enough, so I've got to back that whole thing down to 40. Okay? 3, 4. Maybe I can work on it better at this speed. 2. Yeah, that gives me a lot more time. So it may not be a chord thing that we're working on or a shuffle. It might be scales. If I'm doing scales, that beat is telling me 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do an A scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So at that speed, I'm able, on a metronome, I could slow it down, even go slower than that. So it's important, so important when you're learning guitar and you're working on exercises, scales, arpeggios, chord rhythms, and maybe even a song. You determine when you're working on songs, well, what did the artist, what is the speed? You can use your metronome and go, well, that's at this speed. You can actually clock the speed. Or, you can kind of guess and say, oh, well, that's moderato, or that's adagio. It's very slow. But once you know the speed of the song, then you're going to work for you to be able to play at that tempo. And it may be complicated, it may be hard, and you may have to really slow it down to gain the technique and skills to get it to that speed that the artist or the song is intended to play. Even with classical music, we have to slow passages down and work on them until we can get them up to speed, get them up to tempo. Okay? This is so important, tempo. I'm going to do some more videos about this in the future, but at least this will get you thinking about tempo and maybe using a metronome, using your IReal maybe, and being mindful that when you work on something and you're having issues and you're getting maybe frustrated, okay, you want to slow it down. I always tell my students, slow it down. If you can do it slow, then we can build up to that speed. The next speed a little faster, then maybe a moderate speed. Then maybe we can challenge ourselves to the faster speeds. But that comes as your technique gets better, as you're picking your right and left hand. The physical part gets better and your mental part at the same time to get tempo even. Tempo has to be even. So you want to be able to get really good at tempo because you want to play with other musicians. Well, hey, if you're speeding up and slowing down, that's not going to work. Okay? And if you're playing in a band or a situation like that, you've got to be really good with solid tempo. You want to be the person that, wow, you're just really solid. You're right on. You don't speed up. You don't slow down. And that's the important thing about drummers when you work with percussionists, that their tempo is really, really good. So tempo really does matter. Now, in some kind of compositions, we can have tempos that change. So in a song, you could have different tempos. Or it could be written that we want to slowly build up the tempo to faster, faster, fast. And then maybe we want to slow it down for this next part. Well, those would be tempo settings that we would have to follow and designate. Or you'd have to be really good at following that artist, that you know that, hey, they speed up and slow down, and that's part of that style or that songwriting. So tempo's really important. It's your way of getting something down. You're working on an arpeggio, or maybe it's a riff, and you have to that may be too fast. Maybe in studying, get the finger placement. And then when you can do it at that speed, you work for that next speed. You got the down up picking, down up, down up, down up, down. So tempo, being on time, setting the tempo, the mood of the tempo, like we said, is it fast? Is it prestissimo? Or is it andante? Is it allegro? Largo? What is the mood? What is the speed? This is so important that we determine this. So we should always be aware of tempo. Not only when you're practicing, but when I'm working with students, you're working with me, we have to be aware of the tempo. What is the speed we're working at? And if I see there's problems, that your issues that you're having with playing something, I'm going to go, well, let's slow it down. That's usually the way we have to go to look at remedy and working on the technique and skill. If we can do it slow, then we can gradually increase the tempo till we can do it at whatever speed we're going for. It may take a while to get it fast or super fast. It may take a long time to develop that speed, those skills with the pick and the right hand or the fingers, whatever the technique and skills require. So working with tempo. Determining tempo of songs. It's so important. When you're listening to things, what is the speed? What is the speed of the wind blowing in the trees? What is the speed of the cars moving? The tempo. What is the tempo around you? What tempos are you aware of and not aware of? Really some interesting things about tempo. Oh, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you'll go to my Patreon site and subscribe at one of the levels, the beginning level or one of the other levels, and you'll be able to see more videos on this subject where I talk more about tempo and tempo exercises and developing the speed of like picking slow and developing that picking till we get to really, really fast. All these things I intend to do other videos on. So go to the Patreon. You're helping me out a lot by joining, subscribing, and being a patron of mine, okay? Robert Noel at the Guitar Zone. Tempo. Learn about tempo. Do it. It's so important. Tempo.